First of all, spoiler warning. Kid Cosmic's first season asked what it truly means to be a hero, and while on the surface the plot was about alien invaders and powerful stones, it was more about the titular kid and his emotional conflicts. It worked so well because he was this really relatable and sympathetic character, and the story was told in a very exciting yet grounded way. This season, however, focuses on Joe and asks what it means to be a good leader. Did the second season manage to recapture the magic of the first with its new lead? Let's find out. Before we begin, please consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video and like what I do. It not only keeps the channel alive, it also makes sure that you don't miss out on my latest content. You can also find my Twitter, Discord and Patreon in the description down below if you're interested. Now back to the video.
Oh my gosh, it's happening!
So obviously this season is all about Joe, who's trying her best to become a good leader to take down Erodius, the planet killer, as well as his mega stan Fantos. Unfortunately, however, she doesn't feel like she has what it takes. I guess tasking a teenage girl with saving the universe isn't a very reasonable request. This understandable feeling of inadequacy leads her to seek mentorship in this shady girl boss, who tells her how to be a ruthless leader. Meanwhile, Joe's mother Flo acts as Joe's conscience, trying to teach her daughter why it's far more important to be a kind leader. Unfortunately, her advice falls on deaf ears. The first couple of episodes do a superb job of foreshadowing the events of the season later on. It sets up a handful of plot points, but it's done subtly enough that it may not be immediately apparent what will play a role later if you don't pay attention. If you do pay attention though, the show rewards you for it. For example, Flo reminds Joe of Mo's recipe. At the time, it just seems to pertain to delivering good customer service, but when Joe reflects upon it towards the final episode, you suddenly realise that this was huge foreshadowing, and an introduction to the season's major theme of kindness.
Yes, it is a simple recipe once you Yes, okay, Joe?
One of my favourite scenes of the whole season is the one where everybody Flo helped at the start comes to her rescue. Even the criminals the heroes catered for as a cover to steal the stones come to her aid. It just really shows how meticulously the season was building upon this idea of kindness mattering. It's great. I also like the conflict between Joe and Flo in these early episodes. It happens sort of quietly in the background. Flo, at least initially, doesn't explicitly state that she's upset with her daughter ignoring her. Instead, we get these quick and sad looks. I really appreciate visual storytelling like that. It made the building tension seem very natural. So this season has Joe do some pretty ugly and frustrating things, possibly to an even greater extent than Kid last season. I like that they didn't shy away from making her do those things, as it shows just how destructive her new mindset can be, even if those actions might hurt her likability for some people. One of those ugly moments is the scene where Joe finally tells Kid what she's thinking.
You suck!
I love this scene. It's the most hurtful thing she can do, and it's honestly surprising that she actually goes through with it. But it's the perfect way to illustrate just how far becoming this type of leader has taken her. Everything led up to it really well, and it was just a very well-earned moment. Also, props to the voice actors for contributing to the weight of that scene. They nailed it. Despite doing a lot of wrong things, I personally found her to be very real, relatable, and ultimately likable. The show very effectively showed the nuances behind what she did. For example, we see her fear on full display as Erodius claims another planet, and we see her kindness shine through when she cheers up Crush after kicking her out of the hole. She was an extremely well-written, complex character.
So yeah, I guess my real battle is against myself.
So obviously the main villain of this season is Fantos. He's a very interesting villain. While Kid is a dork that idolizes heroes, he's a dork that idolizes villains. He's, for lack of a better word, embarrassing, and you love to hate him. He's also a clear Thanos parody, except instead of blindly idolizing death, he idolizes Erodius. It's pretty funny. More than paralleling Kid or being a Thanos parody, however, he's a cautionary tale for what would have happened to Joe had she not learned the importance of kindness. I've always really liked that kind of villain, because defeating them is less about physically overwhelming the villain, and more about the hero overcoming flaws that the villain couldn't. It's a very effective way to drive home the narrative's morals and themes, and very apt for a show like Kid Cosmic. Despite being a huge goofball villain, Fantos is very much a serious threat, which, you know, is definitely what you want from an antagonist. And they really do make Erodius seem absolutely terrifying.
impressive, isn't it?
While the highlight of last season was mainly the character-driven stuff, I found myself just as invested in the Erodius plots as I was in Joe's arc this season. The action was just crazy, creative, fun, and it was just a total joy to watch. I especially liked when they got to go wild with all the Power Stones at the end. All in all, I'd say Kid Cosmic's second season not only managed to recapture the magic of the first season, but also improved upon it in almost every aspect. The stakes were higher, the action was thrilling, and the drama was harder hitting. Oh, and Craig McCracken managed to sneak the freaking Powerpuff Girls inside it. Let's talk about that. So yeah, the PPG shows up at the end, and it's maybe the most exciting scene from a show that I've ever seen. They're not outright stated to be the Powerpuff Girls, as PPG here stands for Planet Protection Group, an important legal distinction, but with Craig being the original creator of the PPG, this really is like him reclaiming his girls. Not only does the hair match up, they even got the original voice actors to reprise their roles. How awesome is that? I'm not kidding when I say I got goosebumps. I'm praying we see a lot more of them in the next season, which may or may not be about something terrible happening to Papa G. More on that in my next Kid Cosmic video. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more like it. Don't forget to comment with your thoughts on the season down below. Be sure to join my Discord, follow me on Twitter, and subscribe to my Patreon. Again, links are in the description. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.